Had a really nice start to the Monday. The overall market condition was a little bit undecisive, so a little bit choppy, but there was definitely still opportunities if you were patient. So most of the movers I traded today were in the small caps. So APT was on watch, gapped up overnight. We're on the backside now, so all the gap ups are most likely gonna be sold into, and that's why I was short biased on the stock. So started scaling in shorts after the top has formed, covering some and then added in some more, trying to be patient and letting it work, seeing that if we're gonna break down this key level around $13.30, and once we do, I was covering into here. With the short side, you guys know I almost always cover too soon, but most of the time, it's for the better. So I covered everything here, tried to re-short, and this is where I realized, I'm already trading the midday chop, the volume is dropping, and I just covered after we reclaim VWAP, and literally once I cover, the stock flushes back down to 1280s. So when I start giving back profits, that's when I know I need to leave the stock alone. So I stopped trading this, but a decent small size short on this one. So BLPH, I started scaling in some short, small size. Again, it's pre-market. You have to watch your size, and adding into this push. Why? Because 1970s daily level around this time. So if you look at the intraday level on this day, there's a huge resistance around 1980s in this $20 range area. And yes, we did pop up to $21, but that's a really short-term low volume pop because it's a low float, right? And once we reject really hard, that's why I started scaling in even bigger and adding in back to full size and covering on the flushes, and guess what? We have a midday offering, and I was lucky enough to still have some shorts. After we hold it down, we popped a little bit back to 15, high 15. That's where I added back even bigger short, covering everything here. And in hindsight, I wish I was patient enough to hold till previous day close area. That would have been a nice extra dollar here, but overall I was really happy with the short. No headaches. I only added in bigger once we set in the top. So this is unlike my CODX huge loss on the short side. So this one I only added in bigger after we proved that we cannot hold near the highs, and there's a lot of selling pressure early on. And once it stays heavy, you have a very comfortable risk to risk out of, and adding in bigger with confirmation and covering on the way down. So those are the decent small cap names on the day. The others, a few other larger cap trades, RCL. For this one, for me, was just a scalp, the typical VWAP reclaim long setup, which we talked about before in my VWAP video. So feel free to check that out. But this one is like a textbook long for me. And, didn't sell at the top. But for this one, because we've been downtrending, and we're technically red on the day. So for me, the long was a scalp. So because we're still under the pre-market highs, we're still red on the day. So for me, a decent 50-60 cents was enough on the long side for me. AAL, exactly the same setup. You can see we reclaim VWAP. We're still also red on the day, but these names, when they squeeze, they can give us like a nice 50-40 cents pop. For this one, I longed 1250s, added in a little bit bigger, and sold into 1270s. So another day with a lot of pre-market gappers, with the small caps taking advantage of the coronavirus press releases. But we'll see a lot of recent ATM offerings, and that's kind of killing the sentiment. The one yesterday was SGBX, and that one just kind of gapped down overnight because of the ATM offering. So IFRX already was selling off pre-market. You can see the run up from $4 all the way to $9 after hours, and this morning it just kind of started selling off, and I want to join the trend. That's why I started in some small and then added a little bit more before the open and added in bigger to full size after we pushed at the morning towards $7 level. And once it started selling, the selling was really heavy around $7 area, and that's where I added in bigger and covering some into the flush and some more over here around 580s. and added in on the retest on VWAP and covered some, stopped out of the rest here after it looks like it was starting to reclaim VWAP and trying to make a second attempt to push towards high $6s and $7. And then once that rejects, I just started scaling back in short and covering all of it right here. And then that's where I went on break, and I had some small orders out around $6 during midday that got hit. Just very small size short again, because remember, once we break down this 620s area on the daily chart, you can see 620 right here. Once we broke down that level, it's extremely difficult for the stock to reclaim and then squeeze back to the highs. Why? Because of all the longs that's stuck up here. If you look at this ugly daily chart, you can see this huge gap down from $35 down here. They did a couple of reverse splits, so it was never this high of a price. But that just show you that this is a dilution chart. A lot of offerings, a lot of gap downs, and a lot of back holders in place. And that's why I was short biased on the stock. The other play that I actually lost on is X. This one, not the best entries, you can see. So yeah, so took the loss on that one. I started in, once it started pushing, I wanted to add because it has upside to retest $7.50s, $8. But you can see I literally bought at the top. So this one was a loss for me. And once I'm wrong, I just cut it. No excuses, doesn't matter. If my thesis of a push above $7 was wrong, then I want to get out. And last trade on the day was another short trade. So market's really favoring shorts right now, both on the large cap and small cap penny stocks. RCL, this was selling off near the end of the day because the entire travel sector and really the entire market was pulling. But cruise line stock, this sector was hit especially hard. And that's why I shorted the breakdown of 27.50s. Once I shorted, you can see this key level right here. Once that breaks down, there's a lot of downside. So I shorted, covering some and covering some more. And so it's a nice end of the day short from 27.30s down to $26. I didn't have a huge size on this because it kind of felt like I was chasing up here. So I was leaving a lot of more size to add if it pops and retests VWAP. But it was extremely heavy, so I just kind of let it work. And it worked out pretty well, down to $26 short. So today is the day I put on my short hat, and I was really taking advantage of the short opportunities on a lot of these overnight gap ups on these small cap penny stocks. APT. So the first one is APT. And you can see I started already pre-market. This is one that was really hot during the coronavirus run at the end of February. But you can see on the backside of the daily chart here. So what do you think is going to happen on every single gap ups that gaps up towards this $20 level? All the back holders are probably going to want to get out, right? And especially when it was gapping up really thin. So that's why I scaled in short pre-market 1820s, but giving me lots of room to add if we do pop up towards 1980s and a little bit higher. But started in small size pre-market, covered in some and covered some more on this flush. And this is where I realized the stock is extremely weak. It already went red on the day pre-market. So that's why I was starting to short the pops again right here, added, as you can see, and then I added right here, and at the open we just flush, and that's where I covered most of it. And this is where I made the mistake of I'm not gonna lie, like I thought I was gonna get cute and flip long and see if we can pop towards the previous day close. And I actually lost on the long side, as you can see. I got out here, seeing that there was a lot of selling in the $17 area, a lot of resistance, a lot of, like I said earlier, all the people who were trapped up there and on the daily trying to get out. So I took the loss on the long side, and I missed this entire flush here. So that's a mistake on my part. Instead of going long, this would have been the place for me to add even bigger again after covering pre-market. But then I caught, like a 20-cent short up here just because it was really thin. It was kind of grinding out. So I wasn't really that convicted of the short thesis. But in hindsight, hindsight's 2020. It would have worked out really well, even with a small size. 1780 short could have covered down here 1580s. But I already went back and made a mistake here, so that's why I was trying to be very cautious here on APT. The second trade on the day is BMRA. This one I Feel like I traded a lot better than APT, even though I didn't catch the entire move here. Same idea, really. Back holder daily chart, low float, former runner, started in short pre-market, covered some just to pay myself, and added in back to full size after this initial pop towards $9. And once $9 rejects, that's why I got in the bigger size and covered into the flush and re-added on the retest to VWAP and covering into the flush here. And I was all out. In hindsight, it would have been nice to write it down another $1 or more, but I was all out by the low 8s just because the volume was really low. I didn't want to get caught in any grind here, so that's why I scaled out here. But I was really happy about my starter here and then add in full size at $9 and covering here. So essentially made about a little bit more than $1 a share, but I went back a couple of times. The last short trade on the day was Lake. This one was near the end of the day and I didn't do that well just because I prefer to trade in the morning and I didn't catch any of the move in the morning because I was focused on APT. But essentially it's the same idea, right? I'm just shorting the retest of the highs. You can see we actually popped towards 1830s, but I didn't get to add because I was leaving more bullets up here around 1850s. Also, it's in the afternoon, so I don't want to get too big. So I shorted here, covering some here, covering some here on the flush towards VWAP, re-added some back towards this red to green area. And after this continues to hold for an extended amount of time, I kind of lost my patience and just covered everything here. And you can see we had a nice flush towards the low 16s after I got out. This is afternoon short, so I'm really cautious on my size, really small size. Again, I make most of my money in the opening 1 to 2 hours. So when I go back to trade in the afternoon, it's almost always small size only. But today is definitely the day where I put on my short hat and did pretty well on the short side on these penny stocks. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the bad jokes. If you want to see more day trading content, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more. If you'd like to trade with me daily and get my free weekend watch list and trading journal, make sure to check out the links below for more resources. Stay green, stay positive, and I'll see you guys next time.